I'm a rainbow.
No, that's Rolling Stones.
I know, yeah.
But here we are again, eulogizing a musician that we saw in concert not that long ago.
Yeah, together. What a great concert, too.
know,
That
I
one
was-
still sticks in my
I
memory.
know. In 2018, Steve and I saw Michael Nesmith and the First National Band Redux tour. It was in Phoenixville, PA, and it was a great show. A great show.
The venue fit
It really
the band,
did.
and
It really
was,
did.
It was this old, I don't know, what would you call that? Like,
It
like an
felt like
old-timey type theater.
Yeah, it was really had more of a theater vibe than a concert hall, and it
Yes.
was vintage and like just a touch dingy, like in the way you want.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like it just had that vibe. And I mean, I've always been a big Monkees fan, but you didn't really know him that much before that, did you? I mean, you know the
No,
Monkees.
I
You
just
know the
knew
Monkees.
the Monkees, yeah, but I didn't know any of the names of
Yeah.
the band members. You know?
Yeah.
So
So we're there in Phoenixville, and we're kind of killing time. We hadn't actually seen each other in person in quite a while.
in a long
before-
time,
In a long
years.
time. Yeah. So like we were just kind of exploring that town and stuff. And as we're rolling up on the concert, there's like an RV parked out front. And we're walking, and the door opens, and Mike Nesmith just walks out.
Just
And
walks right out.
We
Right in
almost
front of
bump
us.
right into him and just kind of like back up. And we're like, wait a minute, was that one of the Monkees? So then we saw the concert, and I mean, it was really, I thought it was kind of a moving concert, you know?
It was really good.
It was. I mean, the musicianship of not just Nez, but like the whole band was amazing. You were talking
Yeah.
about that steel guitar like for years.
Oh my gosh, the steel guitarist
Yeah.
was like, that was like, I've seen a couple, and that was by far
Yeah.
the best steel guitarist I have ever heard. And
They-
he was so good. He looked
know.
like he was about to take a nap. He
Yeah,
was
he
so
did.
good.
Yeah,
like,
he did.
It was
Yeah.
just so good.
And it was mostly First National Band kind of stuff, but he sang stuff
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
that I knew from the Monkees. He sang like Propinquity and Papa Jean's Blues, Nine Times Blues. There's a couple things that I knew from Monkey Records, that mostly outtakes and stuff, but
Yeah.
I loved that concert. And we'd already seen, like my wife and I once before had seen, it was called the Monkees Present the Mike and Mickey Show, so we'd seen that. And after all this, I actually interviewed him for my library podcast, the All the Book Show. He's written several fiction novels, and he wrote one called The Long Sandy Hair of Neptune Zamora, and he was trying to start like an online book club, which they did eventually do, and it was super popular. So right when that was starting, I got a hold of his people, and just said, hey, I do this radio show for the library, and we kind of went back and forth, and they're like, yeah, he'll do it. So I had this like 40-minute conversation with him just about his fiction. Like we hardly touched on music, and it was just such a great conversation, with somebody that I've admired for so long. So it was really cool, and I'm so glad we got to see the concert. I'm so glad we got to see it together.
Yeah. You told me too that when you did your interview that he was like so appreciative that you were interested in speaking about his books.
Yeah.
Rather than his music, which I'm sure everyone's like,
Oh, yeah.
5 minutes on. Oh, you wrote a novel, cool. So anyway, let's talk about music.
Yeah, what
as
about the
opposed to-
Monkees? Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I think that's really, really cool that, a 45-minute interview,
Yeah.
with Nesmith is not something I'm sure nobody's had a 45-minute interview ever,
It was very
Yeah.
surreal. It really was.
Yeah.
It really was. So
when you told me
Anyway.
that, I was like, what?
I know. I know.
Like, are you serious?
I
Like
know.
some guy from like Albuquerque named you?
It's super cool. It really was. So if you don't know Michael Nesmith's work, you can go find it with the Monkees, of course. The First National Band. He did 3 albums called the First National Band. That was kind of the makeup there, and then a bunch of solo stuff too. A lot of great music out there. The fictions. He's got an autobiography called Infinite Tuesday. So yeah, if you don't know Nez, now's the perfect time. When we lost him earlier this month.
That one was hard because
Yeah.
we had that connection. I was just
I
like,
know.
whoa.
I know.
Like-
Yeah, well, it was nice because like I heard from you about it, and then I heard from my friend Kendra, who we do another show together, and both of you were like, how you doing, man? So it was just nice. It was nice. Like you both knew like this is going to upset him, and it did. Well, it's the perfect time to discover or rediscover the music and writing of Michael Nesmith. So pour one out for Papa Nez, right?
I got plenty behind me. I'll pour some out for sure.
Okay.
Welcome to This Endorian Life, a Star Wars podcast from the Radio Meanwhile Network. My name is Steve Rudd.
I'm Nick Gunning, and we're following the Ewoks from Return of the Jedi to the Ewok TV movies, the 80s cartoon, and beyond. Today falls into one of those beyond categories.
And beyond, yeah. The great beyond.
Could be, yeah.
Yes, so today we are discussing the animated short, The Story of the Faithful Wookie, which debuted as part of the Star Wars Holiday Special, which shall be unspoken.
Stricken from our memories, yes.
Yeah, stricken, yeah. Which originally aired November 17th, 1978. We were not wee little boys.
Not
we
yet.
weren't born yet, thank
Not
God.
quite.
'Cause
Not quite.
If I saw that on television, I probably never would have seen Empire Strikes
Yeah,
Back.
that would have done it for you. That would have killed it. Well, as we said last time, the special only aired once in the U.S. on CBS. It was aired in other countries and things, but just the one time in the U.S. there. The animated sequence was first released in 2011 as an extra on the Blu-ray release that came out. So technically, that was the first time, and still the only time, that any part of the holiday special was released in any kind of physical media.
Yeah.
So this short was part of that set. And then, of course, it was released in April of 2021 on Disney Plus, the same time as the Ewoks cartoon and movies, as part of the Star Wars Vintage Collection.
Mm-hmm. But not the holiday special.
Not the holiday special.
Just the good part of it.
Just the sequence. Now,
Yeah.
some of the details are a little loose. Like, it seems that it was written by George Lucas. But like IMDb doesn't have a full listing, and everywhere you look it kind of says like characters by George Lucas, but everything I could find sort of pointed to Lucas having actually written it. So I don't know that as a fact, but from my research it seems like that's true. So we'll go with it. That's my best guess. Directed by David Akamba. Now, the series was produced by the animation company Nelvada Limited, and this was the start of a relationship here because they would go on to produce Droids and, of course, the Ewoks cartoon.
Connection.
So ask yourself, would we have an Ewoks cartoon without the Star Wars Holiday Special? Because this is the first Lucas animation.
They got the job, right?
Yeah.
Or the Nelvada.
Nelvada,
Yeah.
I mean, this is the first Star Wars animated anything, so...
Yeah.
You know, it was this, and then the next thing was Ewoks. So I bet the germ of the idea at least started here.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people reprising their roles. Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Anthony Daniels, James Earl Jones. They're credited. Carrie Fisher is not credited, but I'm sure that's her.
I think it is.
Yeah. Now,
basically.
what I couldn't find is the voice of the narrator, who's Kazan is that character's name, or Kazan.
Yeah.
And it just says an uncredited actor. Everywhere I looked, I couldn't narrow that down. I couldn't figure it out. So I don't know. Our featured cast member this week is Don Franks. So Don Franks provided the voice of Boba Fett here. He has a long history in television, film, and animation, notably voicing the character of Victor Creed / Sabretooth in the X-Men animated series and follow-up video game. So if you're watching or listening to previously on X-Men right here on the network, you've heard them discuss this actor before. He did work on shows like The Care Bears, Steve's favorite.
Oh, my favorite. Yeah.
Cadillac and Dinosaurs, and Inspector Gadget. But within the franchise, he did regular voice work on Star Wars Droids, and he voices the Dulak Shaman on Ewoks.
Oh, yeah. There's so many connections between Ewoks and this element.
Yeah,
the Faithful Wookie from the holiday special.
You turned over the fact that Cree Summers, who voices Nisa, is his daughter.
Yes. How insane.
What a weird connection.
Like blown away.
I know, it's really strange.
I was like, I know that name. I know that name.
Yeah.
Cree Summer? Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Just wild. There's so much connection in this, in the Faithful Wookie to Ewoks.
Yeah, definitely.
It's crazy.
Definitely. All right, well, let's get into the uber detailed plot of this 9-minute special.
Yeah, the uber detailed plot of the Faithful Wookie featured in the now shall not be named holiday special.
Yes.
So, the Millennium Falcon is late in returning from an important mission to retrieve a well-sought-after talisman supposedly containing the power to make objects invisible. Both the Empire and Rebellion aim to retrieve it, making the mission critical. Finally, the Millennium Falcon merges out of hyperspace, but on a collision course with the Rebel installation. Verbal communications with the Falcon are shot, but in the image, they can see Han hanging upside down in the background while Chewie desperately tries to communicate with them. Luke, R2, and 3PO hop in a Y-Wing and pursue the Falcon. On approach, the Falcon opens fire on them. 3PO is puzzled that they are shooting at them, but Luke suspects they aren't trying to hit them. Probably because they're not hitting them.
Yeah.
The Falcon's collision course sends them crashing down onto a moon in the Pana system. Luke, R2, and 3PO crash behind them, with their Y-Wing now floating on a pink sludge-like moon surface. The group attempts to search for the Falcon, but are suddenly attacked by an indigenous beast. The beast seems to only care about consuming the metal of the X-Wing, or the Y-Wing, and the group successfully jettisons their escape pod away. Just then, the attacking beast is incapacitated by a large figure riding another similar beast. Luke thanks the stranger for saving them. The stranger is none other than Boba Fett, and he lends his hand to help Luke. Suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
The Empire is also on the planet, so finding the Falcon must be done quickly. When they find the Falcon, Luke discovers Chewie holding the shimmering talisman. But before Luke can reach him, Chewie howls and disposes of the talisman. Too late, however, as a strange aura incapacitates Luke. R2 detects contamination on board the Falcon, and they suspect it's from the talisman. R2 discovers the contamination is a sleeping virus that only affects humans, and letting the blood rush to the head keeps them alive, which is why Han was hanging upside down. So it's not invisibility. Boba knows of a remedy for the virus in the city. Chewie and Boba sneak into the heavily guarded city. With Chewie hiding, Boba goes alone to procure the antidote, but also sneaks over to a communication panel and sends a message to Lord Vader. On the Falcon, R2 and 3PO intercept the transmission and see the whole thing. Boba, a bounty hunter, not a friend, intends to deliver everyone to Lord Vader. With the serum in hand, Boba and Chewie narrowly escape the city. The serum works, and Han and Luke wake up successfully from the talisman virus. 3PO quickly informs them of Boba Fett's intentions to deliver them over to Vader. Before they can confront him, Boba Fett blasts off into the sky, leaving them all behind. Boba really fooled them all, except Chewie, of course, because he didn't think he smelled right. Roll credits.
It's a pretty tight story in those 9 minutes.
Yeah, honestly, it's a packed. It really is a packed, action-packed 9 minutes.
It is.
You know, it doesn't slow down. There's never like a slow part. They're just like boom, boom, right on to the next thing.
It just could not be more opposite than the special that it aired as a part of. It's crazy, you know, because the special, as we discussed in detail last time around, really has no style of its own. It's just kind of its own thing. But I feel like the animation's very stylized here. It's just cool and sleek, and I don't understand how these two productions happen together.
I know, right? This seems like they made something, and they were like, how do we introduce this?
Yeah.
Oh, let's put it in the holiday special.
Right.
Let's just throw it in there. So it does have this, like, it's really good. So that's why it immediately doesn't
stands
feel
apart.
like it fits. Yeah.
But, looking at the animation style, it reminds me a little bit of, like, vintage Sesame Street kind of animation. Do you know what I mean?
It's very grainy, right?
It is.
Very oddly colored.
And it's also like Han Solo's very stylized, his look, where he's
he's a total
real,
Chad.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And, the C-3PO design is very similar to what they eventually use in droids as well.
Yes.
So, you see some similarities there. But, again, the safe or the easy thing to do here would have been to go with a very traditional animation style, and this was like a choice,
Yep.
And it's cool. I think it works. It
works. Yeah.
It's kind of interesting to come up with all these character designs and, kind of develop the look of this short and have it be a one and done. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
To never use those designs again is weird.
And it's crazy too how they finished Boba Fett, right? It's funny, like Boba Fett in this almost looks more like the Mandalorian than he does Boba Fett.
True.
And if you look at like early concepts of Boba Fett's armor, it is nothing like this.
Yeah.
So it's just like one day they did all these mock-ups and they were like, you know what, let's just go in a completely different direction, and stuck with it and threw it into the animation, and it worked.
Yeah.
He's such an iconic look. So
let's talk about Boba Fett for a minute, because obviously we know Boba Fett. As soon as we see Boba Fett, we're like, uh-oh. But this would have been a big twist. This would have been a reveal for people watching this, because you're led to believe that Boba's on their side, and it's really like, Chewbacca obviously has his concerns about it and everything, but you don't have any reason not to trust this character, because this is the first time you're ever seeing him. So,
and he saved them.
Yeah, he's offering this helping hand. So you're kind of like, okay. And then when it turns out he's actually working for Vader, I mean, I think that would have been surprising at the time.
Oh yeah, that was revealing.
Yeah,
for sure.
I just think it's cool to think about, like, if you were a kid in 1978 and you watched this and you saw the cartoon, when Boba Fett eventually shows up in Empire, that would have been a known character. You would have been like, hey, it's the guy,
Boba Fett, he is bad. Like, he is working for Vader.
Right. I just think that's cool, and we kind of lose that because in hindsight we know everything. But like
I know, yeah.
But like my son. My son watched this with me, and he didn't know. So when Boba like betrays them, he was like, "Oh, he was a bad guy," and it did.
Oh, that's awesome.
It worked,
Yeah.
I think it's really cool. I think the voice works good. I like the style. It's a weird use of colors. There's lots of like pinks and greens and
and greens and yellows and browns and
which all very 70s, but it stands out from. Other than Luke's jacket and some of the costumes, like, it stands out from the look of Star Wars before or after, and it really just kind of feels unique,
Everything has like a high-vis tint to it, so it's not like red, it's almost like a pinkish red, and the blue is like a vibrant blue instead of like royal. So everything, except for 3PO, who seemed very dulled down.
True.
He was very dull, his character. But everything else, like the planet, that pink goo that they landed in, was just very vibrant. So, and the beasts, the monsters were like crazy colored. So
I was really impressed with this. Had you ever seen it before you watched it for this episode?
I had seen it when I saw the holiday special on VHS.
Okay.
But I didn't remember it until The Mandalorian came out, and somebody threw up on Facebook like, "Oh, hey, look, the Boba Fett's original character looks like the Mandalorian."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my gosh, wait a minute, what is that from?" And I recognized it, but I was just like, I have no idea where I saw that. And when I dug into it, I was like, oh yeah, it's the holiday special.
Last time we were talking about the holiday special, Jesse was saying that the gun that Boba Fett uses in this is adapted for the Mandalorian, and it gets the same, that Ambin sniper rifle is the same.
Yep.
Which is cool. It's cool that they're pulling these little threads from, this little forgotten bit of history. I had seen it when Disney dropped the Vintage Collection. This was one of the first things I watched in there because I had never seen it before. So I saw it for the first time not that long ago and was like pretty impressed with it.
Yeah, I mean, just think that makes you appreciate the Mandalorian so much more, and Jon Favreau for really like bringing. It shows a real appreciation for Star Wars to pull something like that rifle from the most obscure place.
Truly.
Right?
I have to kind of wonder if the holiday special had been a success, if it had been good, if they had any plans for this, if part of the thinking was like, well, let's put this cartoon together and just kind of see what happens. Maybe in their minds they were thinking this could be a weekly show, or we could do more like specials or something. Because it just, again, it feels like a lot of work to just do one 9-minute thing and then scrap it,
You got to wonder if the whole holiday special kind of killed that, that aspect of it.
I would imagine.
But you'd think a good producer would be like, I know the whole thing kind of stunk, but that was the good part. That's what people, I mean, hindsight, we're looking back and we're going to go, that's the part of the holiday special that connects directly to the actual Star Wars saga.
Yeah.
Where the rest of it really doesn't. We don't get, the Wookiee family. I mean, we do get Kashyyyk or Kazook. Originally, but it's Kashyyyk eventually. But like, other than that planet, there is no connection, to the Star Wars universe. And so it is definitely that shining light that comes through that, I mean, not only to the connection is not only to the saga, it's to supplemental stuff like Ewoks and droids, like, which is really cool. Just that, what was it, 9 minutes?
Yeah, that's all.
You know?
This
So,
is definitely worth a watch. I mean, if you're a Star Wars
yes.
fan, if you like the Star Wars animation that you've seen, I mean, this is absolutely something you should pop over on Disney Plus, or if you have the Blu-rays, take a look at, because
Yeah.
it is probably the most obscure bit of Star Wars that there is out there, especially because it features the original cast and it just gives you a very different look and vibe. So, how many Yub Nubs do you give this bad boy?
I'm giving this one a 4.5. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. I found out more connections
Yeah.
literally in this episode. I did not know some of the stuff, and so I mean maybe I should give it more than 4.5. I don't know. Like it's a solid tight, like you said,
Yeah.
a solid tight 9 minutes that never loses its luster.
Exactly.
It just works all
Yeah.
the way through. It's fun. It's a little overwhelming with the colors, and you're like, whoa, but it works. You forget about it because the story's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I have no notes. I think I got to get it. I got to give it 5 Yub Nubs.
Woo,
I don't know what I'd
5.
change. I just think,
You can't
it's
change
great as
anything.
it is. Yeah, I really like it. I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. The only question I had about it was when Boba Fett, being who he is, when they found out he didn't like stun everyone. Like that was his opportunity to be like, ah, crap,
Yeah.
and then stun everyone and do his job.
Right.
But instead he just runs away. So that to me was a little
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that.
okay, like why? I mean, it doesn't make me not like it less, but when it happened I was like, oh, he's just going to run?
Yeah. Well,
Like-
that to me feels very cartoony, because like you kind of need to have them awake, being like, oh, we got bamboozled, whereas if they're all just like
True.
down and Boba flies off, that's not really, especially cartoons of that era, that's not really like how it goes. So maybe that was part of it. I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's like you got me, and then the bad guy gets out.
Yeah,
that's it.
so is that your Okavark moment then?
I think that's my Okavark moment that I was like, oh, they maybe could have handled that differently and, like stun them, and then C-3PO or something like that, or R2-D2 like hit a button and he gets like ejected out to save
Yeah,
the day,
yeah.
and which would have been a fun little. That would have been very George Lucas,
Yeah.
right? The droids kind of saving the day, which
I
would have
don't-
led up to the droid show,
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true. I don't really. I mean, there's nothing that I'd really drag it for. If I had to pick something that I was kind of like, I don't really get that, it would be Han Solo's look. I think the others make sense to me, and Han's is so extreme that it just feels a little out of place. So.
He's very caricature-esque, and
He
that's why
is.
I'm like, he looks like a total Chad because he's got like this weird like Ivy League rugby player
Sure.
face. It's
Yeah,
just
well,
so
and he's got like
strange.
the old like Captain Marvel Shazam squint eyes, where he's
Yep.
always like, So I didn't really I didn't really like that. So I guess that'll be my Okavark.
Yeah. What about Ichiwawa?
I guess I liked in the beginning when Chewie was hanging them upside down so the poison wouldn't get there. I thought that was kind of a clever thing, and the way they thought originally they were like, oh, something crazy is going on here, and then it turns out, oh no, Chewie's just being smart. I liked that. I liked that. What about you?
I think mine was seeing that Ambin sniper rifle. That I
Okay.
was
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
seeing it again, I was like, oh, I recognize that.
Yeah.
Cool. So I was like, oh, that's cool. I had completely forgotten about it, from seeing it, 2 years ago when
Yeah.
The Mandalorian came
Yeah.
out. I had seen that photo. So that was like my, oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Boba had it first, right? Before he
That's
got
right.
his E3
That's right.
blaster. So,
As our time of recording, we're just a few days away from the Book of Boba Fett coming out too. So
Yes.
more Boba Fett action. I'm looking forward to that.
oh, yeah, we'll have to talk about that. That's
For sure.
must be part of the Beyond.
Yes, I guess so. I guess so. Morals and lessons. What do you think? What's the takeaway here?
Not really sure there is one. I mean,
I
trust the Wookiee, maybe,
Yeah,
or
I was
trust
gonna
your
say-
instincts.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, go with your
Yeah.
gut. Go with your gut. Chewie
with
just
your
knew
gut.
something was wrong, and that was
Yep.
it.
But I
Good.
mean, who did he have to talk to?
True.
It was
Yeah.
kind of like,
Yeah, Art Carney wasn't even
C-3PO.
there, so he didn't have anyone.
yeah,
I do feel a little bad not letting Jesse talk about this with us, but You know,
I know.
what's
He
done
would
is
have
done.
loved. He would
The
have
die
loved
is
to talk
cast.
about the sniper
The die is
rifle,
cast. Mhm.
everything. The die is cast.
Uh,
Sorry, Jesse.
Yeah,
you're out.
Too little, too late. I'm excited to be getting back to the Ewoks because we've taken
Yes.
2 episodes now because of the holiday special. We had to get through that, and then we had to have a bit of a cool down with this episode to get back into the
Yes.
zone. But next we'll be covering Ewoks season 1, episode 10, double digits. Wicket's
Yes.
Wagon. Wicket's Wagon is what's
Wicket's
next.
Wagon.
Yep.
All right.
Wicket's Wagon.
I'll have to rewrite the theme song.
I think
just
so.
For that.
Yeah. All right. Well, see you next time, my friend. Happy New Year.
Yes. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmahana Kwanzaa, right?
There you go.
Did I
You
get
got
them
it
all?
all. You covered it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. All right. This Endorian Life was brought to you by the Radio Meanwhile Network. You can find more about this show and others like it at our network's website, radiomeanwhile.com. Share your thoughts on this and upcoming episodes by following us on Facebook or Twitter at Endorian Life. Please rate, subscribe, and share this show wherever you get your podcasts.